terms of like, you think of things like Sivir coming into prevalence. No, Light is really preferred to just go towards the Aphelios. So Doggo will now go back to this. This, of course, is a pick he was heralded on coming from PCS when he came into the LPL. And now for LNG, I mean, you could look to go towards that lane once again, or you could look to match. No! Mazel, you called it! They're just going to go straight up the same kind of like backline dive, immobile AD carry on the opposite side. Doggo's life's going to be hard. I think they should lock this in because at least that can make it maybe a little bit easier. Having things like the hostile takeover, having the ability to be able to try to make sure Doggo doesn't go down. If you can find one of those kills once the W comes out.
They're waiting on it. They're thinking, and they do lock it in. So first time we'll get to see Renata for this series, but as well it's Crisp's Renata, which I think is a difference maker here for them. The fact that they took away what was so strong and actually ended up being a lot of the win condition for LNG in Game 1 in that Aphelios, and now it's LNG. How do they put the rest of the pieces together here and try to find that advantage in terms of this bottom lane that they could, that they did find in Game number 1?
I at least feel like they're off to a better start. You have, you know, the Crescent Guard coming out from WeiWei. That's going to, like, do a lot. We already talked about Bailout and Hostile Takeover coming in from Crisp. Like, these are tools that are really good at once the coordinated assault and dive comes in from LNG, you can knock them away. Yep. You can make them attack each other. You can, again, give Doggo that second chance to be able to come back into it. So that's why BLG taking away the Sivir and what she can look to provide in terms of the ulti being there. And for LNG, trying to take away some of these engage options in topside. So I'm curious to see where BLG go, mostly in terms of the mid lane pick. We've talked a lot about the Azir today, but we still haven't seen that one come out yet. Of course, Sylas is something that does still exist, even if neither of these teams have also really prioritized it too heavily.
Again, it's LNG just focusing a lot of the engage tools. Lysandra as well going to be that final ban for them and try to pinch down Icon's pool a little bit, even though I feel like the pools in mid lane are pretty wide. This is another pick that could get through this time around. Would be a little bit of a mechanical play there from the Akali, but it is Bin's Jax that will come out yet again. And from that game too, we were talking about in the break, like that he was trying so damn hard, and it just didn't work out on the Jax. Now they have a bit more of a stable composition for him to play around.
I will say now, LNG look very indexed into trying to win this thing fast. Like, they have a lot of burst damage, but not a lot beyond that. There'll always be opportunities for them to win because they just have so much all-in to get on top of Doggo. But BLG now coming out with superior scaling. Both the Aphelios, Renata going to do great. The Jax as well. Akali, I like that they're going with this route. When they kind of have two options, you either go for something that provides a bit of disengage but is long range but still vulnerable like an Azir, or you go towards a Sylas and an Akali, which you know won't be a threat or should be a top priority of the Nocturne and Kennens coming through. You'll now be able to jump in and put some backline threat onto Light, so he isn't able to put up those same huge damage numbers that he was doing in Game 1 because no one on BLG ever had to worry about him because they were too busy being worried about the whole top side of the map.
I just see the potential for carry across the board for BLG, right? And that gets me excited. That gets me happy because the individual outplays can be there. But this is a moment to put up or shut up, right? Like, this is one game from elimination that they draft this composition, and they are putting all their eggs into the carry basket here for multiple members.
They are. And again, I feel like out of all the drafts we've had from BLG, this is one of the ones I'm like more on board with. They are going to have to be able to make it through some of the early dives that come out once Paranoia is online, once we have the Cyclone there, and do a better job of sweeping through their own jungle because LNG had great wards in Game 1, but they at least have the damage profile. They at least have better peel tools in this game.
It's going to come down to a lot of volatility, the proactivity from LNG and the stability for BLG. Again, LNG want to recreate the magical run to Worlds that they did in summer 2021. BLG, they want to make a mark on playoffs for the first time since 2019. We'll see who comes up and if BLG can push us to a longer series or if LNG shuts the door right now. It's LNG versus BLG, game number 3.
You know, it's been so long since BLG made it, Mazel. You're saying 2019, the roster was so different at that point. That was when we still had ADD, Kuro in the mid lane, Meteor was, you know, like coming up as the flagship player of this org. Now looking completely different. And heck, BLG have gone through so many different iterations of rosters since that time. Heck, when Fofo was on the roster, going further back when we had like Kennen in 2020, finally having one that they settled with that has struggled. But sadly, they're so far behind.
Yeah.
They're going to have to climb mountains to do better than they did back then.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just from last split to this split, right? BLG have gone through such crazy ups and downs in terms of roster, in terms of who's playing when, what we're seeing work for them as well. And I think obviously we put a big highlight on the end of the split for BLG where they were holistically focusing around this bottom lane to get them advantages. But I think in this series we've seen them have to adapt from that and try to attack the map as a whole because of Tarzan's activity.
And even just Light and Lumao able to come ahead in these 2v2 so far in this game. Game 1, BLG tried to find that advantage bot, but not able to do the same since. We can see WeiWei now pathing down towards that bot side. Maybe try and set them up for success, or at least get the pressure off of them, because you know Light and Lumao, again, once they get those levels, are going to look for those aggressive trades. So we can see Tarzan actually making his way up towards his top side. You have mixed damage, so it does make it pretty nice with these ganks coming through. Going to be hard for Bin to itemize against ganks as the game progresses, but also having the CC available with the Kennen.
And something else from game 1, right, that we saw so crucial was Tarzan's willingness to commit to plays, but that level 6 mark for Doinb, right? The paranoia to join into the Rift Herald fight. Those things are so important to keep an eye on in terms of the first moves for LNG, because he said they want to win fast, they want to win hard here in this third game.
And for LNG, at least, having the tools to do so, having the tools to do fine in these laning phases, we already can just see whenever Bin comes with the Counter-Strike, Allah can pop that E, get out of there. We're going to wait to see what Tarzan is able to do, because he's already looking to come for the gank on top. He's going to use the clone to be able to get over the wall and have a bit of a surprise angle.
Mental
Oh,
gameplay.
look, Mazel, Doinb's coming too.
And Bin is already sub 200 health. This is an easy slam dunk if Tarzan can navigate it. And Bin just needs to try to get out with the flash. He has the Counter-Strike. Tarzan waiting. It's not enough damage. Doinb was even up here just in case, as they might look for a dive. I feel like he's a little bit zealous. They're going to try to keep Bin under tower at least.
Oh, this is going to be hard, because you look at Allah still has minions he's dealing with. You have another wave here. Oh, they're
just forcing it. And now it's the CC. Tarzan's down. First blood to Bin.
Oh, no. Oh, I was just saying, like, they don't even have the setup as Allah.
Oh
they want this, but Bin is not giving it over. They just committed so much so early. They really felt like they needed to get something with the time investment, and they just end up giving something over to Bin. WeiWei given a lot of freedom as well. He got bot side scuttle. He's making his way up to get top side scuttle as well. BLG get everything off that.
That's actually incredible. Those 3 flashes gone from the top trio of LNG, but it just surviving the flood.
This is good. This is good because we are not biased, but I predicted LNG 3-1. And if I could be right on predictions, that would be nice.
You just want to take me and Dagda's crown away from last split, all right? I see you. I'm holding it near and dear, all right? It's in my closet, ready to go. I'm not giving it to you, Lyric.
Well, WeiWei might have something to say about that, because he's looking for this aggression. But no, Tarzan actually managing to get it.
Nice little gameplay mode, Tarzan. I will say some of the mental chips given back over to BLG because of this top lane play. He's calm, cool, and collected the whole time.
Yeah, and again, just look at where like the waves are at. Kennen's dealing with minions. These guys are still dealing with minions, not able to get it through. And luckily getting enough mana for the Counter-Strike to be able to come out to make sure that he can survive this play. So Bin did his job, and now BLG might look to capitalize more.
Icon looking for the solo. Can't find the damage just yet. That level 6 mark not hit. And I do want to focus onto this mid lane, right? We do see Doinb losing that trade early on, but we're about to hit that level 6 mark. How on the Akali, separate from the Ahri in game number 1, does Icon kind of dissuade some of these paranoia plays from doing this?
I actually think it's a little bit easier for him individually in this matchup. Not quite sure how the specific matchup goes itself. Maybe we phone a friend, call in Vedius on this one. Nocturne usually is a decent time into melee champions. You can, get some good trades out, use that Q, but still not a ton of kill pressure coming out for Nocturne against an Akali. And Akali also, using energy, can just keep looking for those 5-point strikes. At level 6, I don't think Nocturne has the ability to paranoia onto the Akali and kill her, because you could always just throw down your Shroud. You have the E to be able to escape as well. So as long as he can kind of keep up heavy trades in mid lane, make it hard for Doinb to look to leave, I feel like Icon doing his job pretty fine, and he's even hitting level 6 first.
Yeah, and diving into that a little bit more, though, it was game 1 reminiscing, right? That Rift Herald play, the early proactivity from Doinb with those paranoias. So It's about Icon trying to keep that pressure on. Speaking of pressure, though, BLG, again, for the third game in a row, will get an early dragon for themselves. This one a bit earlier than both.
And LNG not going to be able to do anything about this. Tarzan's still not out on the map. It seems like LNG have an idea of what's going on, but just having to accept. BLG having the team picking up a lot of the early dragons so far in the series, so not too different from what we've seen so far.
It's been pretty much BLG getting the first 2 dragons and LNG contesting it for all the others at this point. WeiWei actually pathing down with his bottom lane to try to bait out a fight. Doggo and Chris expertly get away from the bubble, but Lumao trying to make it a little bit more difficult. WeiWei actually turning back around to this bottom lane, try to punish Light and Lumao. Oh, WeiWei walks into
find it.
He did already use the Audacious Charge, though. The wind becomes lightning on the back end of it, so not much.
So they will be able to get out scot-free, but WeiWei still waiting in the wings on this one. Tarzan is making his way down because you can see pings coming through. They know that BLG are going to be looking for an invade. I feel like LNG's chance is locking down one member first with the paranoia.
WeiWei had no idea. He didn't hit the wind becomes lightning on a Tarzan, and that's an easy turnaround. The capitalization, and Light gets the kill.
Great read coming out from LNG. They know the invade wants to come through. You said BLG not really having a great idea of where the members are. For LNG, I thought they were in a pretty good place considering they still have the paranoia, so they could probably pick off one member before the Akali comes. But that didn't even matter. Lumao able to land the bubble, setting up for them to just burst down WeiWei and to make sure they get a kill on their side.
It just felt like there wasn't respect paid to the fact that paranoia was available, right? Like, you're literally in the jungle right under Doinb, and I know it wasn't a huge factor in that one, but it was more so that the heads-up gameplay from LNG that we've seen consistent in this entire series so far.
And you can see why BLG are confident, right? Because they do have push in mid. They're committing Chris down to this play. But you see Doggo start to walk back. Beautiful bubble from Lumao is really what seals the deal. The paranoia there is an insurance policy. I like how Doinb decides to follow it through anyway. And that gives them that. But BLG, still the team that I feel like do have a bit of more pressure on the map. You can see now they've rotated their bot lane up first. They should be able to get this. And LNG at this point, I feel like you just commit to sending your bot lane down to bot side, getting some camps, and hopefully for Tarzan pathing down and starting to reclaim some of this vision in bot side river.
And this is the best setup we've seen from BLG around Rift Herald, right? Every time we've seen them around this Rift, it's been a contest. It's been them fighting skirmishes around that first Rift Herald or the second, and it really hasn't gone their way. But this time they have the right rotation, the right timing, and the right map movement to get that. And I think that's a step in the right direction for BLG in terms of decision-making around the map, which I feel like LNG have had the driving hand in so far.
BLG have done a good job to find a steady pace, and let's remember a lot of the advantages LNG built on were BLG kind of overforcing or mistakes coming out from BLG in terms of how fights were coming out. Or I remember in game 1, like Akali leaning bot when they're going for Herald, just small things like this. So BLG not making those same mistakes, things are going much better. And when you're guessing where the Herald should be coming through, I'd guess it'd probably go down towards that bot side. Doggo is going to be your big team fight carry later on. I don't feel like we see Heralds used all too often for top, but it is an option because you will be able to win out in terms of the 1v1s insides later on with the Jax Akali. You just always have to be afraid of LNG committing 2 side laners against 1, right? Because that paranoia will still be valuable.
So I see level 6s come up for at least Lumao in terms of support, but I gotta hark on this guy a little bit more. Slicing down the wave clear here from Ala at the top side. Lumao, if he doesn't get an MVP on this Nami, at least we'll see how this game pans out. It is actually incredible. The guy has been such a silent killer, or a silent set-upper, I guess, on this Nami, and I'm really looking for those tidal waves to be a difference maker in a lot of these skirmishes that we will be seeing coming up.
All right, Mazel. So what you're saying, even if they lose the game, if Lumao doesn't get MVP,
yes, I'm
you
done.
will be absolutely perturbed. You'll be so upset.
Yes.
As you know what, I'm gonna stop doing whatever I was just doing there because BLG.
You're coming up with some big letter words, all right? Some big high point words there, Lyric. I like it. It is Light and Lumao realizing they were getting collapsed on. We'll back out of that one. It's a little bit of a lull here, but both junglers hovering around this middle lane.
So it looks like they're gonna go in for it. Icon has the Doinb.
A lot of damage back and forth. It's like literally just watching Doinb and Icon. Do they go in? If so, Tarzan and WeiWei go right in afterwards.
I feel like BLG are the ones who are more confident in terms of a play coming out through mid, which is why Icon was the one going for those aggressive trades. And we can see Doinb even bought an early tier. I don't expect him to upgrade that or turn that into anything, but we're just buying it for the mana in lane to be able to contend with the push and contend with some of the trades that Icon has been putting through.
Well, both junglers just spending a lot of time around this mid lane. We'll actually see pings coming down from LNG towards this dragon pit, so maybe they find themselves their first objective of this third game. But it's been a very much different story from game 1 to game 3, right? Even with a lot of the similar composition, because we haven't seen that extreme proactivity from Tarzan or from Doinb so far.
I think it's a lot harder with the lanes coming through. They did try top, but now Herald and
Okay, well,
Tarzan.
I caster cursed him. WeiWei almost goes down here. Icon, he does use the perfect execution, get out of harm's way, but Allah is on the flank. He wants it. He knows he can get it. No, he misses. And now he's found himself way overextended. Light comes through just at the last time, but it's not enough. And BLG capitalized on the mistakes of LNG.
Just the aggression coming through. You were saying we aren't seeing enough of it from LNG. They tried to set up the play, and I feel like BLG have done a really good job at not allowing these openings to come through, at having champions that are very hard to lock down and punish. We saw them trying to go into an Akali. She's easily able to escape. WeiWei having his own tools to be able to protect himself as well. They both managed to get out of there, and leaving Bin up in top lane to just collect a ton of these turret plates. And just looking across the board, right, no turret plates over for Allah on the opposing side. Not a whole lot of turret plates going to anyone on the side of LNG, as Cyclone does come through. They try to go instantly onto Zhao. I feel like Doinb could have maybe held his ult a little bit longer. You get some damage first, and then once like flashes come through or damage away, that's when he could try and follow up. But Allah really wants this kill, tries to go in, isn't able to connect the Q. So it just means he is, some free money from a nice ATM for the side of BLG.
Look at this wake up for BLG, though, right? Like, objective focus. They've gotten both dragons. They've gotten a Rift Herald. They've gotten Bin, plates in the top side. They've denied a lot of the playmaking from LNG. Every time we've seen them be aggressive, it's LNG being way too aggressive. And BLG are right there holding out their hands, waiting for the gold to drop it. And it's actually been an incredible wake-up for BLG. But, again, biggest focus for them is they do have strong starts. It's the slow finish that gets them. It's the catch-outs in the mid to late game that always gets them. And you see some of the potential for catch-out on LNG's squad right now.
I gotta say, though, I feel like one of the reasons why LNG are overforcing so hard is when you're committing with some of these ults or some of these roams, the one we saw earlier, even just now in mid lane, right? Things like Paranoia and Cyclone. LNG winning the game or finding advantages is pretty much solely based around finding the dives with those ultimates. So once they use them and they don't get the kill at first, I feel like they feel pressured to double down, or it's like, hey, we just wasted these abilities. Yeah. Now we can't make plays for the next 2 to 3 minutes of the game. Like, we need something off of this. And sadly for them, that feeling is pushing them even further into the hole.
Yeah, it is. And for the first time, it feels like in this series, BLG actually have a little bit of advantage. Not much, but it's something. And I think you're looking at the setup for them in terms of that late game that's looking a lot better than the other games we've had, right? This is a definitely a different draft for them and something we've kind of been waiting on. You were saying earlier, right? We haven't liked the drafts from BLG so far, but this feels like give a weapon to every potential carry and see who can strike first, right? And I think that's actually incredible for BLG as they start up the second Rift Herald for themselves.
Doing a great job picking up the Herald with the pressure they have in both mid and top, and you can see on the minimap, Doggo and Crisp picking up camps in their own jungle as well to prevent, the assumed counter jungling they think can come through from the side of Tarzan and just make sure their team is getting that gold. So overall, BLG able to cover both sides of the map well. LNG, I think, would really like to play aggressive around the spot lane. It's just so hard when you constantly have to be in fear of that hostile takeover coming and locking you down, which is why LNG are leaning so heavily around mid for so long.
Yeah, and it just hasn't given them any big avenues just yet. I think you're still looking at the potential burst of Light and Lumao. But again, last time we saw this competition for LNG, it was the Aphelios for them. It was that late game insurance policy. The team fight damage.
The dive's coming through!
But you're talking about that proactivity. Let's see if they can actually get Doggo. They don't, and now Bin is here. Allah, a little bit late. Now he's just dead here potentially. Lumao can't really save him, doesn't have the tidal wave. Bin flashes the bubble. Ale has to pop the slicing maelstrom. Does he still go down? The counter-strike nicely done. Bin doesn't get the kill onto him. And LNG get out.
LNG, though, try to find the dive. We were just hitting on how hard it's going to be into the Moonlight Vigil, into the hostile takeover. They don't manage to find anything. And for BLG, that's the win. When we've hit on the scaling, able to come through for their side, they're feeling great, even getting some deep vision down in the enemy jungle to spot out where Tarzan will be, and instantly pivoting into dropping the Herald. Look where Doggo is on the mini-map. They're going to be able to make a multi-man push. Oh, and it looks like WeiWei and Icon even going to wait on the other side of the turret and potentially pick people off in transition.
They can do so. Perfect execution there. Crescent Guard is there. They already get the bait out as LNG committed to the tower, and now Light he gets pushed out here.
Oh,
nice
great
bubble as well. Tarzan does not survive for very long, though. Icon, he wants it. He's feeling confident here, and this is the first time it's felt like BLG have a firm advantage.
We can see when BLG have time for the setup, when they're not the ones kind of overforcing some of these plays, overforcing their hand, and have lanes that can more easily hold up. Not a Nila Amumu down in that bot side just getting punished so hard that they can get through the mid game and they can have some of these smarter decisions coming through. That's one thing that surprised me when I was going back watching. Oh, maybe watching Bin go in. No, watching BLG VODs is not a lot of LPL teams like to cross map, but BLG are one of these teams who I think make smarter decisions when games are firmly in their control. We will see here, though. They're making this beautiful setup, waiting on the opposite side of the turret. A lot of big damage able to come out on Tarzan from Doggo and Crisp. And then, sadly for Icon, just missing on that Shuriken to be able to go through and find another one.
That was actually so close. But if BLG want to keep the pedal here, they do have a Dragon spawning about 25 seconds. They have Doggo and Crisp in the mid lane pushing it out. There's no mid lane tower to defend for LNG, so the pressure should be there for this setup for BLG, at least in terms of continuing to get 100% objective focus.
Ooh. All I know, Mazel, is coming out from last game, we were talking about how hard the mental edge is. Oh, it's so hard to come back from 0-2. Fake news. We don't know anything because BLG, they look calmer and more collected than ever.
Yeah, it just feels like the comp fits their mental right now. It fits their play style. It's working out
their
so
mental?
well. Yeah, because they're playing with such more confidence on these picks, right? Like, it is such a different game, a different series at this point than we've seen for the first two games, right? And this is, you know, the last, at least you would think, that LNG have chosen the blue side. So BLG, if they win here, the momentum is starting to work up for them.
And I don't even know what LNG could do to respond to what BLG are doing right now. Like, they're picking up the Dragon. It'd be very hard to make a play towards the top side because Doggo has stayed around mid. You can see Chris was backing that brush as well, so he could lean towards top if LNG did look to make any cross-map play. Still feel like LNG probably could have pushed in to get some more aggressive wards down into LNG's jungle, but still going to be able to trade out and clear out some of this vision in river. And just honestly, it seems like waiting for an opportunity to come up because the game right now solely dictated by BLG. I feel like LNG may be looking at a pick towards sides, committing Doinb down either with Tarzan or committing Doinb to when Allah's around because Allah's TP will be up soon. Then you have the double TP, so you can always answer back on the opposite side of the map. Has to be something along those lines.
And so at this point, right, if you're LNG, you're primarily just looking for picks or big flanks for Allah, right? Like, you're not going to necessarily win a straight-up team fight, but if you can find a quick pick on the side, if you can find a big bubble or paranoia, that's how they win, I feel like.
I think it's not out of the realm of possibility
easy
for them to be able to take a 5v5. Yeah, it's just not easy. I feel like you would need to be able to bait out like the hostile takeover first at the very least, because with that tool up, it just looks so insane. Then you're adding in like WeiWei's ult into the mix as well. It's just rough. So you would need to be able to bait out some of these ultimates first, and then hopefully be able to force an engage where you get right on top of Doggo. But we're just slowly inching in favor of BLG as more and more items come on the board. Nothing just yet, but I'm curious to see what Doggo has enough money for as he backs.
I wonder if he actually knows. So it looks like he can't complete the second item there. But as well as, you know, you're on the cusp of a Mountain Soul here for BLG, which makes those picks even harder to find for LNG. And I feel like LNG have had to take a back seat in the objective game in this one, but it's been holistically BLG just positioning at the right time, right place.
Good call on the Mountain Drake and Mountain Soul especially, because when you look at LNG, they're definitely more oriented into just immediate burst coming through, right? Lucian, Nocturne, Kennen, all about the burst. To where BLG, more of a mixed bag. You have burst coming out from the Akali, but we have a ton of DPS that's able to be put out by the Aphelios and the Jack. So definitely in longer or more extended fights is where BLG will take the reins. And BLG now going to look to use their advantage, push into the enemy jungle, and Doinb needs to be careful.
He needs to be really careful. He's in a 1v2. He has Tarzan coming up. He is, again, a little bit tankier, having a little bit more damage not at least go his way. They are bouncing, though. Paranoia was... What? But Crescent Guard is not going to save the day for WeiWei, or does it? Akali straight to the face. The bailout. They're just trying to get a kill back. There's a slicing Maelstrom in. Ala survives. And LNG, they're fighting a fight. Ben is trying to make the difference. Can the MSI champion make the difference in a crucial game here in game number 3? Both teams are backing away from the fight, but it looks like LNG actually win out in favor.
The fact that LNG were able to find Doggo is so huge. I feel like the hostile takeover going out early to try to save WeiWei then exposes Doggo by himself to where they're just able to collapse in on him. Sadly for LNG, they're not going to be able to turn it into anything. So really the state of the game doesn't change all too much other than now Collector able to be picked up by Light. But we'll see here, they want to pick off Doinb. They feel like, you know, they have pressure. He should not be able to walk here. Look where the BLG bot lane is. But Tarzan, so much confidence in going in with this. They connect the TP. Paranoia comes through instantly straight on top. And there's the hostile takeover that we're talking about. So already, one key tool used, Light doing a great job of taking out WeiWei, and now with no hostile takeover, with WeiWei not there to play bodyguard, it just gives the avenue for LNG to get straight on top of the Aphelios, who's the prime damage dealer.
Man, just watching Tarzan in these fights, the fact that he's literally playing 4D chess over these people. Like, he is thinking 2 steps ahead, and he's just finding himself in such good positions. That's the Tarzan we know and need for LNG. But at this point for BLG, we're getting thoughts of some of those throws, some of those late game decision-making moments that have come to bite them. And you're hoping that this comes just the lead that they had for themselves, the composition that they drafted, the difference in this game 3 does make that difference. But it's starting to get a little scary, I feel like.
I will say, like, it does implant the memory there of, you know, the throws we've seen, but at the same time, BLG's still in the commanding position, right?
Yep.
They're still up in gold. They're still on soul point. They still have, you know, that scaling, those formations that we hit on just now. Gonna need to be a bit more cautious, and you can see them walking in as a 4-man unit this time, having that caution available. Paranoia.
The bubble actually doesn't land. Here comes Doinb over the side. WeiWei getting a little bit low. The hostile taker dodged out of every member of LNG. So now a couple big tools gone. The Crescent Guard, the hostile takeover. Ben is on the side here. LNG know that they don't really have tools to engage as well, except for the tidal wave and the slicing Maelstrom. But they're not set up with a flank. They're set up for a fight. Ben goes in early. Ala does pop a little bit of his energy there. The Counter-Strike already used, and Ben has to hop over the wall with half his health gone.
And for BLG, I feel like the hostile takeover is just being used so liberally. Like you pointed out, LNG losing a lot of their tools as well as Ben.
You saw him over the wall there. Some pigs coming out there. Ben will be able to spot that bodyguard on the side. It's BLG trying to set up here, but LNG just feel very confident and try to move in position, in pole position of this dragon as it does reset. Icons going over the wall. The flank, the different pincer maneuvers from BLG could make a difference here. Doinb not having anything here. Ben getting a little bit lower. Icon waiting, buying time, not deciding to go in just yet until LNG have committed, but they've already committed onto Ben. Ben counter-strikes off of it. Icon now has the pixel brush on the backside. LNG need to be very, very careful, but Ben is leaving. Moonlight Vigil comes out. Lumao almost goes down to the chakrams. It's all a little shuriken flip from Icon makes the difference here. On to Lumao, he's got him. The slicing Maelstrom shuts down Icon. The light very, very low. Ben gets the easy clap down kill, and BLG with the reset on the fight with Doggo's big Moonlight Vigil. They change the narrative, and they'll take this dragon unless LNG.
No, WeiWei.
They go straight on to WeiWei. WeiWei's down. The dragon 3,000 health, and BLG, they don't have a smite.
Okay, but are LNG actually going to go for it? They need to. Tarzan.
Doinb hand shook. Ben is full health on the side here. Doinb is going in. He's flashing. He's got the spell shield. It's not enough. Tarzan focusing on Chris. Chris not going to go down. The bailout just in time. And Ben shuts down the kill. Dragon Soul to BLG.
And BLG are going to be so strong after this point. How much this does for them when we hit on LNG's comp. being a lot about bursting targets down, using those initial combos, and just snowballing off of that. We're going to see here, I was actually getting really scared for BLG with how indecisive they were being in the moment. I feel like they should have just brought in Icon as soon as LNG committed there, but they wait for Doggo to Gale Force in, throw out the Moonlight Vigil. Instantly, Lumao's low, and Icon's like, okay, this is my time. We lock one member down. We have the TP able to come through from Bin, and he finds the kill. He does go down, but he also makes them waste the Slicing Maelstrom. So right there, that is not possible for LNG to win the team fight anymore. Light gone, no Kennen ulti. But I love on the minimap, you can see the whole time, Tarzan was running towards WeiWei and pinging like, hey, let's take this guy down. At least we can stall a bit of their momentum. They did it, but sadly, Dragon still over to BLG.
That extra shielding, those extra resists, so crucial for BLG at this point, and the picks are going to be fewer and far between, more far between at least for LNG. I just wonder, like, we've seen some of those moments, we've seen some of the catch-outs, but it feels like a BLG's composition right now is just too strong to deal with. And man, Bin, from game 2 to game 3, he's trying just as hard, but it's actually working out for him this time, right? 4-0 on the Jax. He has been monumental in his, late assistance to these team fights, but as well as just the aggression that he's shown on the Jax.
And we can see now, he's a whole item up over Ala, Divine Sunder, Frozen Heart, and Hullbreaker especially, so Ala or Doinb won't be able to contend in that 1v1 whatsoever. He's going to be able to put a lot of pressure onto them as Icon as well.
So he's so strong. He has the Zanyas here as well. It does have a lot of damage. Ala trying to get the outplay here. Doesn't have much left in the tank, but here comes Doinb. And Ala, he survives for a little bit longer, and Doinb gets the kill. Icon, you mad?
Yeah, sadly for Icon, I mean, the flash came out from Ala, right? He didn't just outright miss. The dodge did come through, but it sets up the Baron for BLG.
Tarzan.
And LNG just not even going to look for it. You can see Doinb now already coming down towards the bot side. I was curious if they'd look to TP in, because one of the benefits about, having two soul laners with TP is you can look to make that play, TP them both up to the Baron, and then win a fight with numbers advantage. But with no Slicing Maelstrom, with no Paranoia, really not having a lot left in the tank to where LNG, I feel like, would be in a good place to actually win that fight.
Yeah, LNG do find themselves a bounty, at least. The gold is definitely in BLG's favor. We'll see Icon trying to make the outplays here.
Goes in with the ulti, misses the initial E to come through. Again, another 5-point strike on, but here, he's going to go for the flash into the E. And no, actually,
Ala did
flash it. He did just miss it. I was right. I was right the first time. I thought in my mind, there's no way he just missed that. There's no way. He must have flashed. I see a flash is down, but no. Poor Icon. Absolutely missed a ton of abilities there. But I love the courage to at least look for it.
There you go.
That's the spirit of the LPL.
BLG, speaking of courage, they're trying to find a little bit more of an advantage against Ala in the top side of Ala's jungle. And Icon actually will find him on the side here. But at this point, right, BLG are just flexing their muscles a bit with this Baron buff. They have a lot of time, a lot of siege potential for themselves. But, I'm looking at some completions coming up here. 3 items right on the cusp for both these ADCs. And for me as well, like, looking at Tarzan, he went with the GA second item, right? They know that they're in a deficit. They know that they need to buy time in a lot of these fights.
I actually don't know how much more that does for you, because, I mean, let's say you die and go down after you guys engage. Paranoia's already down. Cyclone's already down. Slicing Maelstrom's already down. Now what do you do in this fight against an Aphelios, against an Akali and a Jax that can just so, keep consistently putting up these big damage numbers? But look,
they're going
on the flank is Ala.
He finds again. We said one flank could make the difference. They're on the back line. The bubble hits. The bailout there. Light trying to buy time against Wei. Light survives. He dies right afterwards, though. Icon is making the difference in the fight. Crisp and Bin, they're all here, but Icon is trying to make his name. No, it's Bin that comes through clutch. And Tarzan, he tried to make the big brain engage, but they're so far behind, it's almost impossible.
That was the best they could hope for. They had the flank. Everyone's able to get in. The AD carry goes down. But BLG have multiple threats that you have to worry about. They're just going to keep going with their Baron pushes as well. Icon and Crisp in mid. You can see Bin pushing that top lane as well. They're just going to keep growing this lead. 10 seconds on Light, so they're going to have to be a little bit cautious, I think, in terms of pushing this inhibitor, but they're going to be happy with the turrets that they've gotten.
Yeah, and I mean, Doggo does go down, but, he's not the one with a lot of gold on the team, and I think they, realize that BLG right now are like a Hydra. You cut one head off, 2 more spawn, and it's been an Icon.
We'll see here as well. Tarzan coming in from one angle, like tidal wave there, paranoia in. They get on top of the Aphelios to take him down. But you look on the back line, WeiWei's not letting Light get in, and pretty much solo kills him. Actually just does outright solo kill him. And then once Icon's able to join in after the Cyclone ends, Bin comes through. That's when the fight really comes online from BLG. So LNG seriously got the best they could have hoped for, and it still wasn't able to work.
And they're staring down the barrel of almost a 10,000 gold. I guess 8,000 at this point. It's going to be a nice little bubble under Bin. The red buff actually goes over to Tarzan, so still the aggression for BLG. But we have Elder coming up in 20 seconds. We'll see if BLG can position themselves correctly around this pit and set up for the objective.
So both AD carries now having their Infinity Edge online, so we'll be, starting to hit at that huge spike. Doinb also picked up a GA of his own, so hoping that, hey, even if I do have to engage and go down, even if buying a bunch of time doesn't really feel like it does a whole lot for LNG's comp, maybe it does enough. Those few extra autos, those few extra seconds could be the difference maker if they are able to take down.
They aren't in position here. They really can't. I mean, they're going to push out mid lane. They're trying to push through, but the Elder Dragon's already started up. They see that it started up. Doinb trying to catch Ben out on the side, but he's just buying time, right? Here comes BLG now as well to collapse onto the mispositioning of Doinb, and the bubble actually landing onto Ben. Huge, but the tankiness, the armor, the magic resistance, so strong.
Doinb has TP, so it looks like he's going to go for the back. He's going to TP in, but no, sticks around. Ben has the same play available, and they're just they're doing the dance. BLG feel confident taking a fight, so of course they're going to just start up this dragon. And now with Jax TPing right to lane, there's a lot of threat onto LNG.
I feel like they're just falling right into a trap here. Bin is on the side. Here comes WeiWei with the slicing maelstrom through from Ala, though. The hostile takeover over almost every member of LNG. They're trying to take out the backline, but it's the same thing we've seen time and time again. Icon does go down. The flash from Lumel gets him separated for the rest of BLG, but they have won this fight. They're not even looking at the dragon at this point. They want to finish off the kills, and they will try to find it in the end. Doinb is in some trouble. He has the GA, but it's Lumel that goes down first. And this is BLG responding to the double haymaker that LNG put down in this best of 5, and they are doing so lively.
And I love that Doggo's the one to follow it through with the Gale Force in and bring BLG back in this series, breathe some life into them, and then now, Mazel, we might get something competitive.
We actually get a series. What is it that casters like to have on their hands, Lyric?
I don't know.
It's a series, baby! It's BLG actually coming back, taking a win in this best of 5 against LNG, where LNG just felt like they had the mental difference, right? In games 1, game 2, but the composition, the fact that BLG opt into 3 carries, that every single person has a sword to bring into battle, and WeiWei navigating a lot of that early game so well, the complete objective control that we got from BLG, it was night and day from what we've seen already in this series.
I mean, right, to be fair to them, at least in regards to Dragons, they've done a pretty good job through all 3 games, but it's been the fact that they've been able to find leads to be able to start taking these Heralds, or to capitalize on the fact that, hey, we can actually take more than just the one Dragon that we've been able to, meagerly get through each game. And I feel like one of the big things, right, is starting off with draft, like you said. The fact that they now have lanes that feel very hard to punish, but at the same time, they are not pressured or forced to look for these plays. Because when we had the Nila and the Amumu in the last game, it's like, okay, ideally this wants to come out ahead because of these are 2 champions that kind of continuously want to go in, but they drafted into a losing lane matchup, and then game 1, the heavy dive with just the Draven, not a whole lot of peel. They finally come in. They aren't forced to do anything. And at the same time, it's very hard for LNG to punish them with the dives when you're going up against Renata with the hostile takeover. When we can see the Jax very self-sufficient, LNG also did accelerate him by going for that dive early. But this has just been a series of, whoever makes the early mistakes first, the other team, right, starts to naturally find that advantage. And these teams don't really seem like at a high enough level to either be able to take that back, but they are both good enough to at least not be able to throw it away.
I'm just so happy for Icon. And the fact that Doinb came out the gate with the Nocturne picks. Pretty much shut down Icon in the mid lane for the first 2 games, but he brings out the Akali against his replacement on LNG and is actually able to find such huge moments on top of Ben, on top of just solo laners stepping up for BLG. We were asking going into this game, who is going to step up? Who at this point in these first 2 games is going to shed that off and step up to the moment. I think we saw a lot of that from multiple members, but I have to hold a near and dear little shout out for Icon, because the fact that he's able to do that against Doinb on this pick kind of show that maybe we don't need to deal with that Nocturne anymore. We can pick the Akali for me, and I can carry.
Overall, I think it's good. Honestly, blind pick Nocturne mid, I don't think is a play anyway. I don't think that's
think
something
so?
you really should
What?
be leading.
Come on.
Even in solo queue, like Doinb played it a couple times. Most of those were into the Ahri. I think as a cool little niche counter pick to something meta, it's really cool. Coming in with the blind, I think it does open it up to be exploited, especially with the way that BLG did. Having the Crescent Guard, having Hostile Takeover, having the Counter Strike, like just so many tools to deal with. Hopefully LNG can go into the next game, not feel as pressured to, like, overcommit to these plays. Because I feel like especially that dive top was just so egregious.
I mean, there was the dive top. There was Ala going in between two towers in mid lane. There's just a lot of aggression pent up by LNG. We'll see if they can make good on this series, if they can close it out, or if we get the start of a reverse sweep here for